Has that worked?
Yes.
Hi, sorry.
No problem. How are you doing, Philippa?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Doing good.
Good.
All right, friends. So I'm going to quickly introduce this woman. She's an amazing lady. Her name's Philippa Asher. She's one of the few certified Ashtanga Yoga teachers internationally. She offers classes, workshops, retreats in London, India, and internationally. And she also runs a stunning yoga retreat homestay center in the south of India called Ashtanga Nirvana. You guys should check it out.
Nirvrta.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. So today, Philippa is going to be touching upon, being a better version of yourself physically and emotionally through yoga. So welcome, Philippa.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here today with us.
Thank you for asking me.
Great. So without, taking much of, your time, I'm going to quickly start by asking you a very basic question. That, is yoga only a physical activity?
Only a physical activity. Well, Hatha yoga incorporates, I would say, a psychophysical aspect to it. So Hatha yoga is a discipline practice for the mind, the body, the breath, the energetic body, which helps us to attain a one-pointed focus, which is really the aim of yoga. In the Patanjali Yoga Shastra, it's said that yoga happens when the fluctuations of the mind cease. So what we're trying to do is to control the mind. So we practice a range of different techniques that can help us to reach the state of yoga. So we practice yoga to reach the state of yoga, to get this inner peace and calm. But to answer your question, no, it's not only a physical practice, but the asana is probably the easiest access point for most people because we can connect with our body. Many of us aren't connected to our body, so it invites us to connect to our body and then our breath and then our mind, hopefully simultaneously. That doesn't happen. That often takes a long time to get that mind-body breath connection, and as anyone who practices Ashtanga asana, they will know about Tristana, this perfect synchronization of breath and drishti and movement. But it takes a long time for that to happen, and when it does, an asana will reveal itself. But until you get that perfect synchronization, so the asana gives us a chance to detoxify and align and strengthen and clean and balance and open the body, the mind, the breath, the nervous system, so we can remove blockages and hopefully get optimum mental, physical health, and then reach the state of yoga.
Right. Yeah. Can you talk about just a basic idea about the Tristana for some of the listeners?
So in the Ashtanga asana system, which is what I practice and is what I teach, there are a couple of really basic concepts that you have to understand, and once you do, the magical things happen. One of them is Tristana and the other one is Vinyasa. So Tristana is the three places of attention, the perfect synchronization of the breath, the gaze points, and the movement. And these need to work with Vinyasa, which is when we're bringing the Sanskrit count, the Sanskrit mantra, into the body and the breath and the mind. So we hear the Sanskrit counts in our head as we're practicing each asana. And when we do that, and when the muscle memory kicks in, that we don't need to think too much about our physical alignment anymore because we've learned the technique, and then we can marry together the perfect synchronization of the breath, the drishti and the movement, and we hear these vinyasa Sanskrit counts in our heads, and then we are completely focused, and we're still steady, and we're calm, which is what we're trying to attain. So we're trying to make the practice a moving meditation, and that takes ages. It takes years and years and years of hard graft and discipline to attain that, but it's possible. And when you get there, when you get it, when you understand it, everything makes sense.
Right. Yeah, totally. So tell us, how does yoga contribute towards emotional maturity?
Emotional maturity, my goodness. So, as I said before, I think it's a psycho-physical practice. So we're trying to control the body, the mind, and the breath. So when the mind plays tricks on us, we can allow ourselves to get into an emotional state, and then we can behave maybe inappropriately or maybe not to the best of our true self. So sometimes what we do is we can invent imaginary situations in our head, and then we play out the whole scene, and we've had these crazy dialogues, and we've invented a story about something that isn't even real. And before we know it, we are unsettled, and we are agitated, and we're distracted, and we're angry, and all these crazy things happen. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to cultivate how to behave appropriately. And the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga system invite us to do that, so that we can have clarity, and we can see the true nature of a situation, so that we can respond in an emotionally mature fashion, so that we can act with dignity and grace and integrity. So 8 limbs help us to attain this emotional maturity. The yamas, for example, are ethical restraints, so non-harming, honesty, not stealing, being responsible with our sexual energy, not being possessive. The niyamas, our personal behavioural codes, cleanliness, contentment, purification disciplines, study, having faith, being connected to the universe, with the asana practice, to detoxify, strengthen, align, open, expand the body, the breath, and the mind, to make space in the body, the breath, and the mind, to remove blockages, to purify the circulatory system, and with the pranayama to help with breath control and expansion, so that we can strengthen our respiratory system, we can balance our endocrine system, our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, strengthen the immune system with the pratyahara, so that we can control our senses, so that we can keep the mind still and free from distraction. Dharana, which is all about concentration, dhyana meditation, which will help us to reach this higher state of conscious awareness, samadhi, so that we have stillness, calm, and clarity. And hopefully when we have that clarity, we can see the true nature of something, and then we can be more discerning in our response and hopefully be emotionally
Right, yeah. So, it is said that yoga helps us to get in touch with ourselves. So what's the process behind this? Could you, elucidate a bit on this?
In touch with ourselves. So in the Patanjali Yoga Shastra, he talks about these kleshas,
obstacles that, when overcome,
help us to reach our true self, our true nature. And one of them is avidya, ignorance of self. So by controlling our mind, by controlling the vrittis of the mind, the things that cause us to be distracted, we try to have self-awareness, so that we can see the true nature of things. So with the asana practice, that helps us to find this self-awareness, because I don't know about you, but I think the asanas are incredibly challenging, and you have to work really, really hard day after day after day with these really complicated postures, which seem impossible. They seem so hard. But with this daily discipline and determination and one-pointed focus, that whole Tristana aspect, the perfect synchronization of the breath, the gaze points, and the movement, we eventually become free from misalignment, and we become free from dis-ease, and we gain self-belief as the impossible becomes possible, and that's quite exciting. And then we gain courage and the strength of mind and trust in ourselves, and we learn how to trust our instincts, so that we can connect with our true nature. I think it's all about having courage to be who you are. And, you know, many of us have spent years and years and years pandering to the ideals of something, of being someone that we're not. You know, you have a big degree and do this job or whatever. And then all of a sudden you think, that's not me, that's not who I am. And I think the yoga practice gives us the courage and the resilience and the clarity to recognize who we are and to have the courage to be that person.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. I think we all go through we've gone through these moments, and we still go through them. Like, you know, the practice it actually, reveals the true self, as you rightly said.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, everything changes. Nothing's permanent. So we constantly evolve and change. So what might have been right for us 10 years ago might necessarily. So we have to be open to change and embrace it. And the practice certainly, I think, gives us the courage and the tools to do that.
Right. So what is the ultimate aim of yoga?
The aim of yoga, I would say inner peace. Inner peace, stillness, calmness, joy, connection to the universe. Stillness.
Yeah, true.
And you know, a wonderful side effect of that is this optimum mental, physical, and emotional health too.
Right.
But ultimately, I would say the aim of yoga is to be still and calm. Joyful.
Right. So, it would be great to hear your journey. Tell us a little about your journey. How did you get introduced to yoga? And, how did you stay with the practice for so long?
So my mum had this book in the 1970s called Yoga for Health by this guy called Richard Hittleman. And I can remember as a kid copying, I was probably only about 3, copying these shapes, because I thought they were fantastic. And there was a bit of alternate nostril breathing and a bit of sitting in jnana mudra, keeping your mind still. And that really resonated with me as a small child. So I always had that, but I didn't know it was yoga. It was just this thing that I did. And when I went to university, I did my first degree in dance, anthropology, history and performance. So I was fascinated by the body and the culture around what influences movement. I bought this book for 5 pence by someone called B.K. Iyengar, called Light on Yoga. And it blew my mind, flicking through this book, seeing all these extraordinary asanas. So then I joined the yoga club at uni. And that was really just static postures. But then in the late 90s, I found an Ashtanga yoga class in London. I didn't realise it was Ashtanga at the time, but learned a little bit more about the subject. And because of the degree that I'd done, I wanted to go to the source to learn directly from Vasudhaiva Jois. So I did that. So I've been going to Mysore, since the late 90s, learning there for 3 to 6 months a year. And I had the great privilege and honour of learning the primary, intermediate, advanced A and advanced B series from Vasudhaiva Jois and Sharath, his grandson. And then I was certified and given permission to share the practice, which I've been doing internationally for the last 15 years. And also my lovely homestay yoga retreat in Sakleshwar in the Western Ghats. So that was kind of my journey, really. Why have I stayed with it? It works. It absolutely works, and it makes me happy. Honestly, it's incredible. It's the only thing in my life that makes any sense. Everything else can be chaotic and I don't understand it, but I get on my mat and I do my practice. I do pranayama and meditation and stuff and try to adhere to the yamas and the niyamas and the other limbs too, because they give you the tools to get through life. And the practice is something that I love and it feels right. And I love sharing it. I absolutely love it. So, it makes me happy and keeps me healthy.
Bless that. What's been your findings along the journey? It's been a long journey, so, it would be interesting to hear.
It's really hard. You have to work so hard. And the more you know, the more you realise you don't know. It's such a huge subject. and I honestly can say that I don't think I started to understand the postural practice till I'd been learning, till I'd completed the Advanced P series actually, and I've been practicing every day for 16 years, because I think it took me, maybe I'm just a slow learner, but it took me that long to kind of get the connection between the physical, the mental, and the energetic, and to get that steadiness and stillness in the postures. And you just have to work so hard. And it's not easy. And the other thing is that yoga, you have to do it. You can't just read about it. It's a way of life. It's a state of mind. It's a state of being. So it's all very nice to read about yoga in books, but to understand yoga, you have to do it. You have to do it. And you can't just do it for an hour a day. It's all day, every day. You're working within this framework of the 8 limbs, and your asana practice or your breathing practice or your meditation practice might just be a small part of it. But it has to be a lifestyle choice.
Right.
And it's amazing. And I'm constantly inspired, and I learn new things all the time, and that makes it really exciting.
Right, yeah. You come with like an ocean of experience, as a practitioner and as a teacher. So what has been the toughest phase of your life, and, how did you negotiate it?
The toughest phase of my life has definitely been the last decade. A whole wealth of unexpected challenges have presented themselves, but I think that having this daily practice has given me the ability to be grounded. It's helped me to be steady and calm, and to feel connected, and to hopefully make sensible choices about things. The wonderful thing about this practice is I'm talking about Ashtanga now, the asana practice, because it works on the mind, the body and the breath, and you need so much focus, you need so much determination and strength and resilience, and everything seems so hard, and then one day you get it. And I think you use those tools for life. So I find the asana practice gives me the life tools. It gives you resilience. It helps you to bounce back from really, really tough situations. It helps you to make smart choices because you have clarity. The biggest one of all, I think it gives you the courage to change situations if they're not right for you. So overcoming fear, for example, in a posture, you can use that in life. So I see the asana practice for me, the hatha practice, as a life tool, a way for making life a bit easier.
Nice. It's amazing. I think it's such a powerful practice. So it actually changes lives. Yeah.
I don't see it coming. No, you start off going to a yoga class because you've got nothing better to do that day, or you think, I kind of stretch my body a bit. And then, 10, 20 years later, your whole life has changed organically. You haven't really make too much of an effort to make those changes. They happen because you change as a person, and you begin to trust your instincts. So
right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
amazing. So a final word to all the practitioners and all the listeners who are serious about the pursuit of yoga.
You have to keep doing it. You've got to trust in it. I mean, yoga works. It's a tool for making life a bit easier. And I think often we don't see the true nature of things. We get the wrong end of the stick and we react, and ignorance prevails. And I think one of the really elegant things about the practice of yoga is it helps you to disperse the clutter and the chaos, and then when you can peel that back and you have clarity, it helps you to see the true nature of a situation and gives you the strength and the integrity and the courage to do things. So last few words, nothing is permanent. Expect the unexpected, but have the courage and the resilience and the joy to to see the glass as half full rather than half empty. I mean, the yoga practice gives you positivity and to connect to your inner self, your true self, and to hopefully maneuver through life with joy.
Amazing. It's been amazing to hear all of that, and I hope the listeners are inspired and who to be on the path of yoga, and also probably begin a yoga journey for a lot of them who haven't explored this wonderful practice.
I think another really important thing is that I would like to say is that it's quality rather than quantity. So. Right. And that's, one of the questions that you asked me about my findings. And I think it took me, probably nearly 20 years of practice before I realized it doesn't matter what series you do. It doesn't matter how much you do, as long as there is quality and integrity and that steadiness. Okay. So, you can just do the standing postures. Some back bends and the finishing postures, and sit and breathe slowly, and you'll still get the essence and that joy. You don't need to bash out 50 postures. It's doing that.
That's very important, because I think a lot of times it's intimidating. Social media and things like that kind of like disturb the mind of a practitioner, and you're like, oh my God, I don't think I'm a good yogi, or things like that. So
it's about the inner peace and the calmness and the stillness, which you can get from, doing a few postures and then breathing slowly.
Right, yeah, sure, of course. Great, so let's open the forum for a few questions, quick ones. If friends, if you have any questions, you can quickly send them in. We'll just take a few of them. I had a few friends who, asked me about your teaching schedule. Are you teaching online? Are you, are you still doing any kind of program? So can you tell us a little about your current,
So yes, during lockdown, I'm doing weekly Sanskrit counted led primary series classes and Sanskrit counted led intermediate classes via Zoom, small groups, followed by pranayama and Q&A chat. I'm also doing one-to-one private sessions.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so we can get back in the studio. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So, Philippa, I think this was wonderful. I think thank you so much for your time. And it was great to have this chat with you. Really insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Just to have you guys listen to us is so inspiring, itself. I hope these talks have been, adding value in your lives in a small way. And I hope you get inspired to stay on this journey and to, stick to this practice, because it's wonderful. As you've heard, all the practitioners who've been practicing for years.
Wonderful.
It's magical, I would say.
Yeah.
So, enjoy your practice, friends. And Philippa, thank you again. It was absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.